And we're here for Disney Discussions. I think it's number 14 now that we're on. This is a pick of mine from the spinner wheel thingamajig, and it was inspired by Jack of Back to the Filmography and on Comics in Motion and other things, because he mentioned about doing Tron. And I was like, I haven't seen Tron in about 10 plus years. And I'd only seen it the once, and I was like, I remember enjoying it. And I knew Tron Legacy was out. I got it for free on DVD. Someone gave it to me. Maybe now I see why. But I've got it on DVD, and I've been thinking about watching it for probably about 8 years, longer than I've known Megan. And it's always kind of been in the back of my mind. And so I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to watch 2 films in one fell swoop. I know Dan's got some extra stuff as well, which we'll give him a very small allotted a bit of time, because we're on a tight time scale. So if we're rushing, that's why. With people with places to be. But Tron, so 1982 is when first Tron came out, and then Legacy came out 2010. Tron is 1 hour 36 minutes, and Tron Legacy is 2 hours and 8 minutes. So big difference, and you definitely can feel it. So let's just briefly mention where we know about Tron from. I've already said my Tron story, air quotes. Megan, have you ever even heard of Tron before we did this?
No. No.
Cool. Right, so
I know of Tron because of at Disney World. There's a Tron.
The
Tron ride.
We went on the Lightcycles, which was fantastic. Incredible.
And then otherwise, no, I don't know. I didn't know anything about this film.
That kind of made me more hyped to go on it, and then I saw the film.
The ride was good.
The ride was amazing. And so then we're going to Rhea. So Tron and Tron Legacy. What's your first memories of Tron, and had you seen Legacy, etc.?
Yeah, so Tron is a film from my childhood on all the time, one of those films that's on like every weekend. So I couldn't tell you the first time I watched it. All I know is that I watched it, and I watched it all the time with Jack, obviously, obsessed with it. Tron Legacy, I remember being really excited about it coming out, and I even went with Jack and we saw it in IMAX.
Wow.
And it's lovely in IMAX, looks very lovely. I hadn't watched it since. And I remember why.
Amazing stuff. And then, Dan, with yourself, and then if you give us just a brief minute or two about the other stuff that you've been consuming around Tron, because you've watched some other stuff, and tell people a little bit about the other content you've put out relating to that if they want to hear more, as well as when did you first see Tron and etc.
So I don't remember when I first saw it either. I think I definitely saw it when I was young, definitely pre-teen. And I think I quite enjoyed the visuals and the special effects, which is the two things I take away from both of these films. Very big, kind of special effects driven, and kind of up the ante in regards to computer effects and where they could go and what they could do. I think both of these films do that for all of their flaws. So yeah, I kind of knew that. I saw Tron Legacy. I didn't see it in the cinema, I don't believe. I don't remember it being in the cinema that long either. But I did see it eventually, and it was fine. I do remember the effects on Jeff Bridges' face not being great at the time, on Clue, sorry, I should say. So yeah, and recently, because I was kind of, I was jazzed to watch these films again, because I remember enjoying them, I watched Tron Uprising, which is a prequel and a sequel to the original film, and a prequel to Tron Legacy. And it has to be my favorite Tron thing ever. Like, if you're going to do any Tron related stuff, that is the show. Very kind of Star Wars, Clone Wars, very Batman Beyond. There's a bit of Spider-Man in there. So it's got all these kind of elements and stuff. And they really do explore the world and all the ideas that I feel like the two films only kind of really barely even touch on the kind of possibilities. On my Patreon as well, I thought I knocked a couple of requested shows back, and I've done 2 Tron-related comics, both not very good. But if you want to hear my feelings on them, you can join Patreon, and I'll tell you about them, and I'll tell you why. One is slightly less worse than the other one. But yes, that is Tron for me. That is my Tron lowdown.
Are you going to do a bonus bit of content about Tron Uprising? If not, could you?
Do you want me to?
Maybe it could be a project for next year.
Maybe we could do it. Yeah, because I think it's something you would really enjoy, Mike. I think if that's kind of your bag, I'd love to rewatch it again and really enjoy it.
We'll do that,
we'll put it in the calendar.
Next year, we'll figure it out. We'll do it in a few
parts.
You
do realise, though, when you say we, that also means that I also
it doesn't mean you have to
watch it. Yeah, but it does, though.
because it's a show. It does, though. Because it's a show, I can watch it when you go to bed.
But Megan, you might enjoy it.
I might. This is true.
Megan has a thing where she gets angry at me if she doesn't enjoy something, even if I haven't seen it before and I don't know the quality. So she's angry at me for making her watch Tron Legacy, even though I thought it was going to be good. So
obviously, it's your fault. Obviously,
Yeah. I mean, isn't that being married? It's everything's your fault now, anyway. I think that's what it is.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yep. There we go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Amazing stuff. So yeah, with Tron. So we'll get on to Tron the OG first. So Tron the original. Now, the first thing I think about this, regarding plot-wise, I'll let Dan, because Dan loves spilling the beans on the plot. I'll let him do that.
I mean, I don't love it.
Dan loves it.
I love making other people do it. That's my show. I make
He
them
just
do
loves
it
it so much, and I won't take that away from him. So before I get into that, I'm just going to say with me, one thing I remember about Tron, and one thing that I still remember after watching it and I really appreciate is, as Dan kind of said, which is the visuals. I think the costuming is incredible. The visuals, they are clearly dated, but the way they're done, it doesn't feel like they're bad. Like the way that the light cycles look in, the original Tron, they don't look amazing, but they're not meant to look realistic. The way it isn't meant. So the way it works and the way they did the costuming and the sort of color and saturation and in all the filming and editing and post, the way their costumes glow, I love that. I think it's amazing. And I think the film for me is fun. I think about that. Now, Dan, if you could give the lowdown, in part because I was going to ask Megan what she thinks, but I think she's probably half forgotten. So
no, there's literally no point.
Let's remind Megan and our audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Christ.
Rhea, you can chime in as well, because Rhea's really the expert.
Here we go. Okay, so big computer technical company called Encom is being run. You've got Alan Bradley and Laura Baines, I want to say, is the two characters' names who were working there. We've got an evil corporate executive, which I've done a podcast on recently, a lot of those. Ed Dillinger, who's running it. Turns out there's a guy who runs an arcade called Kevin Flynn. He had his ideas that he was working on for video games stolen by him and used to kind of accelerate up the corporate ladder, and he's now in charge and has a master control program which monitors all the other programs within their kind of computer system, but it's kind of grown its own sentience and it wants to kind of get out of the kind of corporate world. It's stolen ideas and concepts from other people and other businesses, and now it wants to kind of go into almost digital terrorism or kind of espionage, looking to break into the Kremlin and the White House and things. And kind of Ed Dillinger is like, what have I done? I've created a monster. And Kevin Flynn breaks in with Alan and Laura Baines to get the evidence to see, to prove that he had his ideas stolen, and then he can take it to the authorities and bring Encom and Dillinger up on charges. And that's the idea. They break in, they're doing it. The Master Control program knows all about this and digitizes Kevin Flynn into the electronic world. And he has to become a gladiator where he plays literal video games for real for his life. And has to escape. With
that, sorry, that's all amazing. You've done it very succinctly, but we'll say with the, I won't make you go into all the depth of inside the Tron world, because that will, that's confusing. But that's a real great step up. So that's entering the Tron world, and that's basically where it is. And you've mentioned the Master Controller stuff, amazing stuff. So then, while we're on you, Dan, and because you did such an amazing recap, what did you think of this film? I know you said you watched it a lot in your childhood. What did you think about it on the rewatch?
I still enjoy it. I think the thing with the Tron films is they are good. I think they are good films, but they're just on the precipice of being great. I think I think the concept is cool. The ideas are cool. The themes that they're exploring, the two worlds, and like what is a real world? If electronic life is alive, if it's true, existing kind of beings that have their own thoughts and feelings, is the real world, the flesh world, the real world, or is the digital world the real world? And are we gods to create these? This electronic program which is given its own life. Really, like some really interesting stuff, and again, groundbreaking special effects. The reason we have Toy Story is because of Tron. John Lasseter was actually campaigning against this film because he felt that they were going to lose all their jobs, the animators at the time. And the Academy wouldn't accept it for special effects because they thought it was being lazy. And look at us now. Look at where we are now with computer technology and animation. We don't get John Lasseter. No, after seeing the film, he was inspired by it, and then he went whole hog into developing computer animation. So we don't get Moana. We don't get all of this. We don't get things like Star Wars. We don't get Spider-Man. We don't get all the special effects, Thanos, and things like that without the computer generation and the digital effects, the de-aging on in Tron Legacy as well. You don't get that without these films. So no matter what we say about the quality of them, they are groundbreaking.
I mean, Star Wars, the first two Star Wars films came out before this, so I'd argue Tron also couldn't have done
I meant like the prequels.
I was going to say, the prequels. I was going to make that addendum. Yeah, the CGI and the prequels, 100% agree with you there. That must be a direct line. But Rio, so what did you think? On the rewatch, when was the last time you actually watched this? Because you watched it all the time as a kid. Have you had a bit of a gap since watching it?
Yeah, probably. I imagine a good few years ago, Kevin and I probably drunkenly watched it. Definitely watched it as an adult, but I couldn't tell you when. Tron's just so good. It's just, and it's not just nostalgia, because I was like, I really love this film. I think it's just because of nostalgia, because we were obsessed with it when we were kids. But I'm just a broken record, because it does exactly what it sets out to do. And, I actually think the storytelling's really strong. I think it's really well thought through, and they tell a really grand story in such a small amount of time. And they build two worlds, the real world and the electronic world, in, less than 2 hours, and way better than Tron Legacy. And I think that's really unique. And it's from that time period where it doesn't treat you as a viewer as an idiot, that you are just put in the middle of this world, in the middle of two worlds, and you just have to get on with it. You just have to understand what's going on, much like Star Wars. Star Wars, it's just presented to you. This is the world, you're in it, get on with it. And it does that exact same thing. And I think that's the strength of it, that as the viewer, you just go along for the ride, and they make it fun. They could all be talking absolute rubbish, but you're like, yep, got it. MCP, programs, all of this sort of stuff, because it's so well written. I love that there is not a romance in it. There are two characters that are a couple. She also used to bang Flynn, but they're all still friends.
You could say Ram Flynn.
Oh, cute joke.
But they're all still friends. They're all still mates. They're all looking for the greater good. So there's no romantic conflict. When she's in the electronic world, she is, she's not sexualized. She's just as capable, just as smart as the men, because she's a program. In fact, in the real world, she is as well. That's the laser's her life's work. And I think it just nails all of these things. It's so smart in the way they build those worlds, and yet let you as a viewer have fun whilst being there. The visual effects are amazing. I still love every single time when Flynn first goes in and he's in the suit, and then they put him in the cells, and that the colours just just gone from everywhere else, and then that blue just stands out, that grey and that blue. It's so cool. And it's iconic. It's absolutely iconic for the right reasons. So, yay, Tron, best.
And I would say, to add, is one thing I liked about Tron was where you've got the programs written by the people, they're played by those people. So you've got this actually something that's come back around in modern day, which is playing. I know it's not only been in Tron and then there's been no films with it until recently, but when one person's playing two characters, and instead of playing it where they're CGI'd in and they're playing against each other, as in two versions of that character, and I like it when films do it well. And in this, they do it well, it's his friend is Tron and this kind of thing. I like those elements. I think I'm more in line with Dan with I think this is a really good film. I think it's not quite at the precipice, but I get why people like it so much. Now here's Megan. Now this is her new favourite film, isn't it, Megan?
This is right. So the thing is that I don't really remember it. So It's hard. Like I've said this to Mike before. Whenever we do like afterthoughts, it's really hard for me because I don't remember the movies. And like later on, we'll talk about a film and I don't remember it, but I just remember how I felt after I watched the film.
You're
like
a
I
vibe
associate the feeling that I had with the film. And I don't really remember a great deal. Like if I like read like a synopsis of the movie, like obviously you guys saying that stuff is like jogged memories for elements of the movie. But I just remember feeling at the end, I was just like, it was okay. And that's how I felt. And Mike was like, oh, so you enjoyed it? And I was like, no, because if I say it's all right, like, for me, it's all right. It's fine. It's all right, you know? It's okay. It's, like, lower. Like, it feels, like, worse.
For me, okay.
It makes sense, everyone.
I get it. But okay and all right are pretty similar. Like,
shut your mouth.
But it's like, it's all right. There's a bit of enthusiasm in it, isn't there? When you're like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
But then you could also go, it's all right. And you go, how was it? It was okay. So again, they're both on that middle, and it's almost just the inflection.
I mean, I think all right's a more jolly word. It's all like, that's my personal.
Okay, yeah, I
Santa would say all right, not okay, and all Santa's right. Jolly.
All right.
I mean, I'm not following that logic, but sure.
Hey,
yeah. I get it. I know what she means. So yeah.
No, it's fine. I'm just putting that like I do understand. But with you, I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, I just don't really remember it.
But I know we've all spoken about the visuals, but when you saw it, were you at all fazed by like when he first goes into the world, how it looks?
I will
the light
say
cycles?
like, and this is like a niche reference, but like it gave me like season 1 and 2 of RuPaul filter vibes.
Oh, because of the camera.
It just felt really grainy. Like, so in season 1 and 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race, there's this like weird ass filter on it. Like, it makes everything look really, really hazy.
It's like, someone's got
lower budget, maybe.
It's lower budget cameras, but because of the lighting, I think because of the lighting and like the camera work, it just makes everyone go like kind of like a halo, and it's like really, and it made me feel like that. So I found it difficult to watch because it was kind of like fuzzy.
It's like dark mode, isn't it? The whole film is like dark mode because most films you watch, most things you're looking at, there's light so you can see things. But
I
in Tron, it's the opposite.
The bike bits.
Yeah. What about the frisbee bits?
Yeah, and the frisbee bit. I like those bits. I like them.
You're like kind of in the middle, but you weren't fussed
aesthetically. I thought it was pretty.
But when it gets to the political stuff and the bad guy and the whole trying to do what he was doing, all that stuff, you're just not as
businessy, very business.
Yeah.
Corporate. Yeah,
that's what it kind of loses you.
I
it's
think
a lot of talking.
I forgot that there's so much in the real world. My memory from it, especially as a kid, is that most of it happens in the digital world, but it doesn't. Like it's so long the beginning in the real world. I'm not against that. I'm absolutely fine with it. But they
do go almost immediately into the digital world though. Like almost like they almost don't kind of set it up. They just go into a circuit board or whatever, and then they come out of it, and then they go back in a little bit, and then when Kevin Flynn goes in, that's when you're in it for like the mainstay. I did think maybe we needed something in the real world happening, like Alan and Laura doing something or helping on the outside, just to kind of break it up a little bit, like have two kind of parallel plots, which I think kind of is what Tron Legacy needed as well. Just to kind of like just cut in between and coming back and in and out of those worlds. As much as I love the digital world and how it's created and all the world building that Rhea was talking about, I felt like I needed a bit more of that. And also, I felt like the actors didn't quite know what they were talking about sometimes when they're talking about all this technical jargon. And they were like, oh, yes, the program and the XE system and the security. And I did get a sense that they were like, I'm just saying words. I'm just saying words. I don't know what they mean, but I'm just going to say them to the best of my ability. And one of my favorite actors, David Warner, is in this. One of the most superb kind of Shakespearean actors you've ever seen. He is in everything. You name it, like high quality stuff to like really low bar, Spider Dan and the Secret Balls stuff, like Ice Cream Man.
He was the main baddie. Was he the main baddie?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, he's Dillinger. Yeah.
Dillinger, Sark, and he plays the Master Control program as well. So 3 roles. Hey, he's so diverse. He's can play all these. He's got so much range. And I love when his brains fall out at the end. That's amazing. Just that shot with the killer frisbee.
That was pretty brutal. And the kind of the huddle of his brains. It was like, oh, okay.
On the IMDb, it said. This is why it's getting a PG because of these brains, these like clockwork brains. They were like, I don't care if it's electronic brains, it's still brains. So you're getting the PG rating.
I enjoyed the film. I think I think I do agree with Rhea that I love how short this film is. Like, I'm really, as much as there are some films, a lot of films I really enjoy that are 2 hours plus. For me, I think an hour and a half is more than enough time for a lot of films. A lot of films. I think a lot of reasons so many films tend to fail is because they spend so much time trying to go, we need to be 2 hours. We need to be 2 hours 15. We need to be 2.5 hours. When they haven't got enough for that because they, for some reason, think if you do a 90-odd minute movie, there's a problem with that. And I think that's why so many indie films can work, because they're like, we just need to get, the footage to get to this 80 to 95 minute runtime. And it's like, if you can nail that, you've got a solid idea. The whole plot, certain films just work so well. And I think that although I agree with that sentiment on this film, it does, and this is just of its time, it has those moments where you can really feel like it's in the early 80s, where there's bits that Star Wars, I know in the late 70s, has it a lot in A New Hope, where there's just those few extra seconds here and there of just kind of plodding about, of just unnecessary people just walking from the left of the room to the right of the room and then doing so. And you're like, I could have got that, you could have just cut to them doing that thing. Do you know what I mean? There's little moments where I remember watching it and I could see Megan was losing interest to a degree. And I was watching it trying to think, okay, if I just almost tuned in now, I'm just kind of watching a couple of people walk with those 80s stomping sounds. I quite like them. But when they're walking, you can hear the kind of noises.
I think as well, I completely agree. There were moments where I was like, come on, crack on. Let's, I've had enough of Flynn flying about in the thing, talking to Bit. We need something happening. This is why I think if you cut to the real world and they're like trying to evade the security and Ed Dillinger's trying to get them, that might just, have
and then
something
typing the
there.
Programs a bit more.
Yeah, or doing anything, like literally anything.
And reacting,
just to kind of
seeing him doing, like, I can see Flynn doing stuff. Oh my God. He needs to...
Yeah, exactly. Because we hear like Alan's voice and him talking and stuff. But yeah, I think the main issue is the way they filmed this was that they had to bolt the camera to like the floor, because if they moved like a millimeter, it was going to throw off the special effects. So I think what they're doing is they're capturing as much as possible from that location, and very rarely will you see, I think, a moving background with one of the actors in shot, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't. That's too much going on for them, even at that time. So I think that is unfortunately affects some of the options that they have available to them in forms of editing and the special effects, and the various backgrounds and stuff. So I do agree with you, Mike, but I think that is the reason why we have those moments, unfortunately.
And it's for the actors as well, that it's so static, so they can't act. They can't fulfill the role, their job that they're there for. And I do think that comes across in some of the more awkward moments. I'm very happy to forgive those and just go along for the ride. I don't really feel like the performances are bad and need to be ripped apart. We will talk about that when we get to Tron Legacy. But you can see the constraints that they're working in. And, it's kind of like a shame, isn't it? Because unfortunately, if this film was made now, it would be Tron Legacy. Ugh. But if they made exactly like it is, but with better technology, it would be even better. And I still remember as a kid it being like the best visual effects I've ever seen. And seeing it as a grown up, what do I sound like? Watching it now, I do think, like, sadly, I don't think for like my daughter who's 5, it would be amazing, but like I can see why as kids when it came out in 82, which was the year I was born. I'm watching it on VHS on my TV at home. Like a good few years later, you can see why we all were obsessed with it and fell in love with it, because it was mind blowing. We weren't falling in love with it for the performances, even though they are fine.
They are quite theatrical. They are quite like, it's almost more like a play, to a degree. And we've got to remember as well, this is kind of the first time they did kind of blue screen, black screen, grey screen, green screen and stuff. This is like brand new technology, not only for the people making the technology and producing the special effects, but for the actors being in a completely digital world. It's, even with like we were saying with the Star Wars prequels, even Ewan McGregor would struggle,
100%.
with his stuff. And now it's just kind of, the actors are just used to it because it happens on every set. But yeah, this is like avant-garde technology, really.
Can I point out the thing that I hated in this film, and I absolutely hated it, is how difficult is it to get to Laura's desk? How many fucking ladders do you have to climb up?
Yeah.
How many random steps that just sort of stairs that go into each other that make no sense, that clearly don't end up anywhere? I was like, this is taking like 5 minutes of watching her and Flynn climbing up random ladders, going random diagonal stairs places, driving. Ugh, really irritated me. So she does that every day. She has to leave home like 15 minutes fucking early to be able to get to her desk once she's in the actual building.
The thing that annoyed me is, we kind of need it to happen, but I think you could have got the master control program to move it. She's got the laser pointed at her desk.
Yeah, right at her desk. Yeah,
like I remember Master Control moving it and pointing it at him, going, "I've got you now." But it's already pointed at that. That is a health and safety nightmare.
She's rubbish. So rubbish at her job. Don't point your laser directly at you whilst you're working.
Yeah, no,
and you literally know things are going screwy because Alan's told you that Dillinger's messing about master control program stuff, and you're like, it's fine, just leave it pointed at the desk.
I'd feel comfortable just being in that room anyway, just seeing something almost aimed at me, even if it's like an out of use cannon or a gun. Like, I don't want a musket aimed at me while I'm at my desk.
Yeah, why do I have to sit up here? I'm just like, what? Put us somewhere.
Why does she sit like right next to her laser? It makes no sense.
She'd be in a lab, like somewhere safe.
With a desk. And they're using it earlier. So what they've had to do is move her desk.
Yeah.
So they can use the laser only to move her desk back.
But how did they carry her desk
ladders.
like up the ladders?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fucking bizarre, yeah. Absolutely bizarre.
I mean, I used to think my journey on the tube into work was a nightmare, but I was like, fuck climbing up those ladders. What, you've got coffee? I don't even drink coffee.
Also, I love the fact that the villain of the piece, Ed Dillinger's password for the master control program is literally just master.
Beautiful. I loved it so much.
But
because that's when all this was new.
Yeah,
it's also
absolutely.
like, he's just like, everybody's like, nobody really understands computers. He'll just have the password master. He didn't even change the A to a 4. Come on.
Flynn's trying so hard to break in. He's sitting outside that laser. He's like, this is a bit, hiding out and all that. The bit where he hides from Laura is stupid as well, where he's like, I'm hiding away from you. I just thought that was a shit gag. That was awful.
Yeah, but that's why she broke up with him.
Yeah,
he is really annoying.
I don't blame her. Yeah, well, we'll get to Tron Legacy yet.
Yeah, a character like Jeff feels kind of like a main character, but I've got noted as well. So does Tron as well, but actually, really Bruce, isn't it? It's Bruce / Tron. So
Bruce Boxleitner. Yeah.
I felt like they were both kind of main characters in a certain way, and it was weird. It was like, here's this guy Flynn. This is Tron. This is the main character. You're like, okay, I've got an issue with him. He's just a bit bland. And it feels like, what?
Yeah.
I know you're focusing on this guy. I mean, Flynn is also not the best. It's interesting because I like
it's almost like Han Solo's the lead and Luke Skywalker's the second.
That's a very good way of putting it. And, I think Luke Skywalker's quite boring anyway. But let's get on to, we're nearing the halfway mark, so let's get on to Tron Legacy, the film, which is 42 minutes longer. I will say, I hadn't seen this, and I heard that at the time, the de-aging thing is actually quite good. And so I was like, I heard it was quite good. And I'm assuming at the time, maybe because it was one of the first times they really did it, you go, because in the confines of the realm, he is an AI-born being, I can kind of hand-wave it. But it is at points you're like, this feels weird. The eyes, and it's just... But I will say, aside from that element, the visuals are just so incredible. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, I was saying to Megan when we were watching the ending, and that there's the planes that are flying. And I was like, the planes look quite cool. There's nothing majorly different in the dogfighting that happened, but they look really cool. And you said how much you like the light cycles and the frisbees and things like that. And like, they're most people's favourite parts of these films are the really cool looking, innovative, different kind of sci-fi-ish stuff that doesn't have to connect to a wider universe that makes sense. It's just kind of cool looking, and you hand wave it away by saying it's basically a video game. And it's like, the way of doing that, all we want is these, the light cycles in this film look so phenomenal. And, you know, again, when we were in Disney World, we got to go on the ride of it, and that's amazing as well. And you're like, it's so iconic, and it's so cool. And you're like, we just want loads of this. And they go, no, I tell you what, I think what people liked about Tron is not the light cycles or the visual effects. Let's have them in there. But what they really want is 3 people. Yeah, we had 3 last time. 2 men, 2 women, 1 woman. Yep, okay. And let's just have them kind of have loads of inconsequential conversations for ages. And you're like, why is this film so fucking long? Nothing really happened. I'd say less happens in this film than the last film. The last film's got like this really complex political plot line. And this film's just like, rogue AI, he's just going to control everyone and kill everyone. And you're like, okay, you could explain that in 1 sentence and that's the villain done. It starts going in places where you go, oh, the villain's quite cool. Oh, no, he's just boring again. Oh, no, okay, he's boring. And then at the end, they have this really quite profound conversation about like, oh, you made me and I did everything you asked.
You promised that we would like rule the world, change the world together.
Make the perfect system.
And Jeff Bridges, Flynn, he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And I'm like, your villain could have been one of the coolest, most complex villains if you'd have literally had it so that he wasn't trying to overtly kill anyone. He only had to kill when he had to. He was genuinely trying to make things better. And then he was trying to find Flynn to say, where do I go from here? I've done everything you've asked. I want to live a real life. I want to escape because I want to live a real existence. If that happened and then Flynn realized for some reason the being he was could never escape. And if he did, it would destroy everything or something, you know, something like that. He was trying to, that would make them so much more interesting. And they kept having little threads of it where I was like, the AI element sounds quite cool. But almost every time I thought that for a bit, they were like, right, now you've had that 1 sentence. Let's have 4 scenes of Clue just killing people for basically no reason who are on his side. And you're like, why is this happening? Oh, to reiterate he's bad. It's like, but why you know what I mean? It's just disjointed in what it's trying to even do.
I feel what
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was all good, Mike. I think what they're trying to do, which they don't accomplish, is they're trying to parallel Sam and Clue as being 2 sons of Flynn. And one is you know, he's abandoned one, seemingly abandoned one, and Clue has done everything he thinks he's supposed to do. He's been told to create the perfect system. Yes, Dad, I'll do whatever you say. I'll be the perfect son. And he's not the perfect son, and that's what upset him. He's like, I've done everything you asked me to do. You told me to do it and do it this way, and now this is happening. The ISOs are coming in, and this isn't part of your plan. You're the god. You're the maker. I've been made in your image. You know, I am just as powerful, just as good. But yeah, I think there's something there, but it's not expanded upon.
Because I thought that as well when it was at the end when he was like, oh, why are you doing this? And he was like, because he's my son. And then his face drops. I had that thing, but they don't make it clear at all.
No. I think there was maybe some deleted scenes that maybe went into that a bit more, but yeah, it's like, oh, I got your page. Oh, Clue must have paged you, but why now? This is one of the things I have.
It's
I
such
have
a
an
long
issue
period
with
of
films.
time.
I have such an issue with films where things just happen, and I'm like, why not 2 years ago? Why not 10 years ago? Why not 4 years ago?
And then he just goes to the arcade. So that's the first time he's been to the arcade since he was like 9 or something. And now he's like 25. I'm like, that's not fucking true. Mm-hmm. That's not fucking true. And now I just happen to investigate and find this wire on the floor, and it leads to a secret thing that literally anybody could have found.
The least secret passage ever.
Yeah,
so painful.
Yeah.
Oh, but remember, he's cool because he like parachuted off a building for free software. Fuck off! That's not how you release free software. It's not how you hack things and release free software. For fuck's sake, we're not hearing in the news every day. So somebody hacked something and jumped off a building with a parachute. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have to be like, and that's what
He
works
owns
well.
he owns the company.
Owns it.
He doesn't need to do any of that.
But like in Tron, in the real world, they don't have to be action people. You know, they don't have to be all of that, because that's what happens when their programs exist in the electronic world, in the digital world. So like making him like, oh, I'm so cool and actiony in the real world so that he can be cool and actiony in the digital world. What the fuck? No.
Yeah, I found one thing I said to Megan when we were watching this, I was like, the problem is with this, not the problem, there are several, is that there's not one trait that you can name that's even remotely interesting about any of these characters.
No.
The problem is you've got Jeff Bridges trying his best to play two different characters, and he's kind of just playing half of each character. And I found that there was points where he was giving me the dude vibes. He had these couple of lines, and I was like, either be the dude, which would make this film so much more interesting.
He said he was like, that's radical, man.
Yeah, things like that.
It's like, shut up.
And you're like, either you have to play like this. There's three ways, really. It's either you're a deity god man and you're like egotistical and almost maniacal, or like feel like you have a big responsibility, or it's negatively
Is he the
affecting
same
you that
guy
way.
from Guardians of the Galaxy too?
Yeah.
No, that's Kurt Russell.
Oh God, no, it is. Yeah, sorry. Got completely.
Yeah,
Yes, I was like,
I always
similar.
I do.
No,
Yeah,
Iron Man
I
1.
do confuse. You can confuse them quite a lot,
Iron Man
and they
1.
kind of came about at the same time.
You always say to me Iron Man 1, and I tell you every time, I don't fucking remember it.
Well, we'll have to watch that because
every
that's one of the
time.
best MCU films. But he's
Anyway.
he's the baddie in that.
But Megan, Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1.
I say it all the time. I don't remember the last time I said it.
Iron Man 1.
But the dude from the Big Lebowski.
We just need to start responding that in our chat group now. Just whenever Megan
Iron
says
Man
something,
1.
Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 1, obviously. But I wanted his character to be something more. And then the other two, I mean, Olivia Wilde might have been just a cardboard cut of herself.
Oh
It was just
my
this
God.
bland-
So
Rhea,
right,
please.
let's talk
Go on the
about it.
characters, go on. Pass the baton to Rhea.
Let's talk about Born Sexy Yesterday, right? And what a annoying trope it is, right? So do we all know the Born Sexy Yesterday trope?
You know what? I've never heard of this, but please tell me.
Please.
So it's amazing, and there's an amazing YouTube video by Pop Culture Detective, and he talks about the Born Sexy Yesterday trope, and specifically talks about this Lilu in Fifth Element, people like that. So it applies to Emma Stone's character in Poor Things. So it's like this male fantasy of where you get a childlike mind in a sexy female body, right? And it's all around. So, so the man can come in and he's teaching female character things, like teaching her like stories and how to be sensual and what a kiss is and stuff like that, right? And it's fucking disgusting, and I'm so over it. Like, the only time it's actually worked for me is in Ex-Machina, and I think it works so well because of Eve and actually how she's fucking with everybody. Spoilers for Ex-Machina. Hopefully, Tonya, you have watched Ex-Machina.
Don't you fret.
Rhea, she doesn't listen to this.
Hey, come on. And so they bring in Cora, and she just immediately fits into this trope. She's immediately the Born Sexy Yesterday trope, right? And honestly, I've explained it so poorly. Go and watch the Pop Culture Detective video. We'll put a link in the show notes. And the way she's shot is so pervy the whole time. And I'm like, if we're treating her like, I know she's not, we find out she's an ISO. She's the last ISO. Of course she is. She's the last ISO. Of course she is. But it's like, if we were treating her like a program, like we think she is, why is she shot that way? Why are the female programs that get Flynn Jr., I can't remember his first name,
Sam.
ready for the games?
It's the
Why
only
are they
thing I
wearing
remember.
high heels? Why have they got loads of makeup on? Why are we suddenly sexualizing women in this world? Are we being made to believe that Flynn and Clue sexualize women? Because this is their world, right? So we being made to believe that Flynn and Clue just see women as sex objects. Why are they sexy?
Yeah, I guess it's because with the ISOs, they don't really delve into like how do they reproduce. Well, if he made them, then theoretically there's no sex involved to create them. So therefore,
So the ISOs.
But she's a sexual object
Dan knows.
for Sam.
yeah,
I know. 'Cause I read the prequel comic.
which you said was
on
fantastic,
Patreon.
didn't you? Yeah.
Not so much. Called Tron Betrayal, which is about Clue's kind of, his eventual kind of betrayal of Flynn.
Spoiler.
And spoiler.
It's the name of the comic.
Spoiler. Also, Clue is an awful name for a villain, by the way.
Earlier, I thought his name.
Shit.
Earlier, I was like, Mike, what was his name? Clum, and he was like,
Clum. I think Clem is the name of like characters as either Star Wars or if
Clem?
your place goes to other places. Clem.
Clem's a name.
Clem's from
Fandango.
Buffy. Clem's from Buffy.
Yeah, he's the like guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Clem Fandango?
The dog demon-y face guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ISOs, the problem that Clue has with the ISOs is they kind of give birth to themselves. In the book, there's a character called Ophelia who is the first of the ISOs, and she comes out of this sea of simulation, it's called. And they all just kind of emerge suddenly. Flynn's like, this is amazing. And Clue's like, no, this isn't part of your plan. You're the creator. You are the user. This is not perfection. This is random, and this is going to affect us in a negative way. And he starts then kind of attacking them or framing them as a group of people that are having a negative effect on the grid. And then eventually at the end of that book, again, spoilers of the book, Clue poisons the sea, so no more new ISOs can be born. And that's why Olivia Wilde ends up being the final ISO. Another spoiler for Uprising.
Okay.
Olivia Wilde turns up in one of the episodes. Her
cool.
character. She voices it. The character is nothing like she is in the film. And this is a prequel.
Right.
So we've not gotten to Tron Legacy yet. And she's very capable. She doesn't put up with any shit. She's not like, ooh, what is this? I don't know.
You know Jules Verne, what's he like? Ooh.
Yeah, it was dreadful. And that's what I expected coming back into Legacy. I was like, she was quite capable in the show. She could handle herself. She wasn't a complete idiot. And then I come to Tron Legacy, I'm like, what the fuck happened to her in those intervening cycles or years, whatever you want to say. Absolutely. Yeah, it must have been something. It got infected by something.
But it's weird as well, this film, because it feels like it's written by like 4 people. Which I'm not saying great films can't be written by a group of people, but it's written by 4 people. And I feel like this is 3 or 4 different directors all at once. Yeah. Because you've got times where
by committee.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, right, the action bits are like one thing, and you go, cool, more of that. Then you've got this, the kind of sci-fi stuff more with the ISOs and that kind of stuff and the AI elements. Then you've got this kind of stuff that seems like it's trying to be a lot more darker and way more intense, because there's moments where there's that point where like that guy kills himself like half an hour, 40 minutes into the film. And I remember being like, oh, this film's going to go dark.
He didn't want to be in the games.
Yeah. And then the games will start to happen. You're like, and the games bit is amazing. You're like, this looks great. Like the threat when that guy kills himself, you're like, this is going to be intense. And the game's finished. You go, oh, that was cool. And then you go, cool. Next hour, let's just talk. And you're like, but I want to go back to the games. Can we just go that? I would genuinely think it's a more interesting film if it was just called Tron Games. And it was just 7 or 8 different contestants who go in there. And it's kind of like each one of them gets picked off one by one in a way. And you just kind of get to know them, and maybe they try and escape or something. That would be I want to watch
the Hunger Games, mate.
Yeah, or Sam works his way up the games to see Clue and find out, and it's revealed that Clue looks like his dad, but it's not his dad. Like so much better.
Make the games. Yeah. They already had like 4 vehicles, and you've got the frisbee thing and the batons. 6 different things immediately without creating anything new that they've already made in this film.
And then they go to his dad's stupid house in the middle of nowhere. And
they took ages to get there as well.
This house? I was like, what is this?
And apparently Clue just couldn't get to him. And you're like, why? Because there's a distance thing. It's like, is there...
It's because they were off the grid.
Yeah,
I believe.
But like, it's Clue.
Apparently he's going to transcend...
He can't go off the grid.
But he can transcend through the barrier between digital and real by creating a version of himself with that data kit thing. But he can't figure out...
Well, he can. He can go off the grid. It's just that once he's off the grid, he's not easy to find. isn't it? That's the reason that he's off the grid.
The gateway is only open from the outside to get the redigitization laser shit. It's only open from the outside, and it's only open for a certain amount of cycles.
Yeah.
And that's why they can't get out, and that's why it closed on Flynn.
No. I'm saying, but Clue.
Why Clue
can't
couldn't
find them is because they're not on the main grid.
Yes, that's right.
But I was like, but as Ria said, like, but this Clue is almost as powerful as the creator. So surely he would just make a way, get a really big telescope and just look.
They get there 20 in the end
years. They fly there. They fly there.
Yeah, they literally go, oh, we found this light cycle. We can track the heat signature or something, and they're there. And I was like, what the fuck?
20 years, and apparently time is different down there, isn't it? Which also threw me off, because when he said about time being different, like, he said 1 millisecond is like 8 hours or something like that. And I was like,
but then in the
how is his aging?
In the original film, it's not. Time isn't different. But then I guess this is a new grid, so I don't know.
But his aging doesn't make any sense to me. Because
is he older?
I think it's you can spend more time in the grid and it's less time in the real world. Because he made a comment where he was like, oh, it's only been a few minutes up there.
Yeah, it's 1 millisecond out there, 8 hours in here. But then he's aged to how? Because they keep saying how much older he looks.
Yeah, because Sam is only like 25, and clearly Jeff Bridges is like way older.
Oh, yeah.
So the aging thing, like with Jeff Bridges, I just don't understand how he ages in the data thing or out, because they keep making comments about it and never really. Yeah. I'm like, what, does the digitizer keep a version of you that it ages while you're in the machine? How the digitizer, I can be like, okay, it copies stuff and spits it out, but it keeps you in this cocoon thing and knows how to age you while you're in it and then bring you out. And I'm like, what is... I didn't need the explanation if they didn't constantly mention how he's getting older and keep pointing their finger at it.
So I think that's one of the key problems between this and the original Tron. The original Tron, they just say words and you take it for granted because they're not asking you to believe it, really. No. Whereas this film, they want to be... they want to be like, this is technology. This is what it's like inside a computer. That's what they're trying to do. And so it doesn't work because they're trying to legitimize so much about what's happened. And they're trying to fit in. It's been so long since the first film in actual real life, not in Tron film real life, that they're trying to make it all fit together and it doesn't. No. And it's like, none of us cared about that shit in the original Tron. We were just like, oh, cool computer words. Blub, 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 blub. Ah, light cycles. Throw some discs. Drink the water. That's all we gave a shit about.
The cool,
water stuff. I forgot.
I love that. Cool. It was so cool.
Such an 80s thing, isn't it?
It's so 80s. It's all we cared about. What I don't want to hear, we know something about computers in Hollywood. Oh, do you? Because I actually don't think you fucking do.
Well, Megan, when it got into the world, in this film with the visuals and things of Tron Legacy, did you prefer Tron or Tron Legacy? Because you weren't obviously the biggest fan of the first one.
I'd have to watch them both again.
Well,
I'm not doing it.
The second one's a lot.
Stop the podcast quick.
Let's go do it.
Let's do a redo.
The second one is a lot longer, I must add.
So probably I prefer the first one.
The visuals of the second one. Were you very
The visuals of the second one are better, yeah.
No, but were you very impressed by them?
I was blown away, Mike.
Did you like any elements of this film?
What? Did I like any elements? Yeah, I liked the visuals. I like bright colours.
But Megan.
I like bright colours.
Iron Man 1.
Oh, yeah! So, to be fair, we watched the last 15 minutes again. We watched the ending again. I didn't hate the ending.
Right.
I enjoyed the last 15 minutes of this film when we watched it.
Did you enjoy the really long shot on the bicycle? Oh, guys, Cora's in the real world now. Oh, air flowing in her face. It's so meaningful.
Showing a sunset.
But what does that mean?
It means
what is she going to do?
She's not been in a world like that.
It means her and Flynn.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to show you something. And I was like, my dick.
I think you actually said my boner at the time.
Did I say boner?
You said my boner specifically.
That's far worse.
Yeah, it is.
I was going to say
like the
something.
characters at all? Like Olivia Wilde being...
I'm going to show you my end of line.
She was bland. She was boring.
Blandy McGandy.
I didn't hate the son. I didn't hate him.
But did you think anything of him like that was interesting? Could you name any attribute of him?
Rides a motorbike.
Which, funnily enough...
Without a helmet, like a fucking psychopath.
I was going to say. And you're like, what are you doing? That's
Cool,
dangerous.
ridiculous.
cool guy.
It's because he's cool.
But it's all
exactly.
the problem for me is it's a lot of cliches as well. This whole film is a lot of cliches, like
Cardboard cutouts.
the dad and him, riding around in a leather jacket and all this sort of shit. And
I say, actually, great point is you've rescued the last ISO. You've brought her into the real world. Put a fucking helmet on her.
she's valuable for some reason. We don't know why.
I don't know
she's
why,
valuable.
but she's going to fall off and hit her noggin.
Yeah, both of you.
And then
put
you're in right
helmets on.
trouble, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
what if
who
the police
cares
stop
about
you?
him, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I did want to.
She's undocumented.
I was going to say, and that's in
Lucky
America
she's
as
not
well.
brown.
Undocumented in America, okay?
Legal alien.
Legal alien.
I'm an ISO. Like, how would she even adjust to real life? Like
She smells
that
the air.
Well, Sam's going to teach her everything.
Oh,
because he's such a good role model.
It was really
Born
annoying.
sexy yesterday.
When they got to the end and they were like holding the thingy up to like escape, and obviously he didn't want to escape because he didn't want to leave his dad. But then you've got the guy like literally Clum trying to. You got Clue.
I feel like Clum is like clogged up and cum into like together.
It is. That is.
Clum.
Oh, don't touch that. It's clummy.
Look at that glob of clom over there. How long's that been there?
I really want someone to go back and edit. Anyone listening, if you go back and edit The Age of Ultron, I want you to change Vision's line to "I was only born sexy yesterday."
That would be good. What were you going to say,
I
Megan?
don't remember. It's gone.
You lost. It was with the
Clum.
ending with Clue.
It was Clum.
Oh yeah. So when Clum's
Clum.
trying to get him, then you've got Sam and
Olivia
the
Wilde.
bobhead like up there, like with the discs.
Boblet.
Bobhead. She's got a bob, hasn't she?
Bobhead.
Oh, right.
She's got
sorry.
an asymmetric bob.
Sorry.
It's very Fleabag. It's very the sister in
Oh,
Fleabag.
of course.
They take fucking ages to leave. I was like, you've got
They
like,
do, yeah.
Hurry up.
I was like, anytime today, Clum's after you. Come on, let's go.
I'm now.
Can we record audio commentary for the film from Megan, please?
She won't watch
Just
it.
Megan doing
Trust
audio
me.
commentary.
Tony
Like the
wants us
dress
to do
code.
that.
Tony is desperate.
Tony
for
wants us to do that for an afterthoughts. Is
Ooh,
us watch
commentary.
a movie and do a
Yes,
live commentary on the film.
Please. Speaking of movies, can we talk about Michael Sheen in this?
Oh yeah, just
Oh,
randomly
yeah.
being that the.
He is at his weird twilight.
I was
phase
going to
here.
say he looks like
He
the
is-
Volturi.
He is. That's the same
he
actor.
is. That's the
No,
actor.
no.
Yeah.
I know. But I meant it looked exactly the same.
Yes,
Right.
it's the same character.
No, I know it's the same
character.
person.
I thought you were like. Yeah, it's that
Megan,
guy.
Wait a minute,
Megan,
he's in Twilight. Which one is it? Eclipse.
New
I think
Moon.
you'll find he's in Iron Man 1.
Wait.
I was thinking. I thought you were going to say
No, he's not.
He's not. He
I
really
don't
isn't.
remember
I
him
don't
being
think
in
Michael
Iron
Sheen's
Man
been
1.
in. The
You don't
MCU.
remember Iron Man 1, Megan? He could be.
No, but he's in Good Omens.
It has
That's-
Iron Man in it.
That's what you remember.
He is like a character out of Cabaret or something in this. He is bloody hamming it up. Again, I don't really see much of the point of him. I don't see the point of the sexy sirens either. I don't see any reason why they're there apart from dressing Sam. For no
And clearly,
reason.
heavily
yeah.
indicating sex happens in this digital world.
Yeah,
as well.
programs shag each other.
And they drink. They have
and
alcohol.
They drink. It's weird. But it doesn't make
Bizarre.
sense. I don't go into this world and go, cool, I'm along for the ride. I go into this world and go, what?
It makes
What?
less sense the more they show you. Whereas in in Tron,
It's
Yeah.
like
you
the
kind
one
of
that had the white hair.
what the
Yeah, the Gem. Gem.
Yeah.
Gem, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
She
'cause
was intense.
And then she was like, well, the thing is, when she came into it, when she and then Michael Sheen's character, when they were in it, when Michael Sheen, I was like, oh, I hope he's going to be in it quite a lot because he's so charismatic and Michael Sheen's so good. I was like, I'd like him in it more because I find the other characters so bland. But it can be really dramatic for anyone watching the
True.
video, just to clarify. That's what this laughing's all about.
Stop saying I've got a point.
Yeah, go ahead.
That bit was shit. Like the whole thing with that, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing with that
Don't
is so,
sugarcoat it.
so white hair Gem is like, I'll take you to where you need to go. Go speak to Castor. Is it Castor? I feel like,
Castor, and actually, then you can speak to Zeus.
as if I remember that name. That's ridiculous. But
I knew he was Zeus the second I saw him. I was like, you're clearly fucking Zeus. There's no point to this.
It's like, where's the illusion?
But it's like he was like, oh, you have to get to him to go to him, and then it's like, but it is me. And I was like, because that's what he says, isn't it? Yeah. And it's him, and I'm just like, yeah, you've already met him, and it's just like, well, this girl is trying to help him. I'm like, just help him out by just like cutting out all of the fat. Do you know what? Just send him straight to the source as opposed to sending him to the person that's meant to be the person that helps him get there, but then it's actually him instead. It's just like.
It was convoluted for no reason, just to fluff out.
It was very
the runtime, even though it didn't need to be, because the runtime is already. But I liked the element because I was like, oh, something a bit different is him. And I think after the games, I was like, some other crazy thing is going to happen.
We need some element.
And there really wasn't. He came into it and he's like, oh, I'm good. No, I'm bad. Or actually, this guy, Clue, is really super evil, because what super evil people do, they make bad deals, then they double cross them. Who could see that coming? Oh my God, he gets double crossed.
Like,
oh my God.
Again, it's just another fucking cliche you've seen a million times.
100%.
And Michael Sheen's character, why didn't he have like a fake one or hide it or put it in a safe space? You don't go, oh, here's the, I know we're a bit, we don't agree on everything, and I know, we have a strained relationship, but here's everything you want, and you're going to treat me right, aren't you? Yeah? No, I'm going to kill you, of course. He makes a fucking poison drink. He gives him a fucking poison drink, and then still does bombs for no reason.
Why are there bombs in this world? Why are there bombs there? It doesn't make sense. Why do they have
thing as perfect.
bombs?
There's no such thing as perfect, and perfect is subjective.
Exactly.
You
tell him, Megan. You tell Clum.
I'll tell you, Clum.
You tell Clum. But they clearly wanted Daft Punk in it, right? So they're like, right, there's got to be a nightclub scene. Because Daft Punk can't do anything else apart from play some music in a nightclub. So that's the whole reason it's there. And then they try to do this thing where it's like...
The soundtrack is pretty good, to be fair.
The soundtrack's amazing. The visuals are amazing. Only good things about it. And then they've got this thing where Sam's like, oh, but Cora saved me.
Yeah.
She saved me. And so they're trying to use
She put you in
to,
actual danger, is what she did.
But they're trying to do that to make some sort of connection between them. It's not that he just finds her sexy because she's got a child's mind in a woman's body. And I'm like, but that connection doesn't work. That isn't chemistry. That isn't a romantic connection.
I thought he was with the white-haired girl. I thought when they connected, and obviously she was she was intentionally flirting with him, dragging him. I thought, oh, maybe they're actually. I was again. I thought.
Wait, are we talking about the main character and the white-haired girl?
Yeah, and
because I thought when she does betray him. I thought she was going to betray him in that sense, and they were going to do something sexy, and then she was going to betray him through that.
See, I after a few minutes, you could tell, she's going to betray him.
But she's a Bond girl archetype, the evil Bond girl.
Yeah, but when she first came into it, I was hoping, I was like, oh, I hope they maybe get together, and then hopefully Olivia Wilde's character can just kind of have her own journey, because she's the last thing, boring trope, but okay, let's see her. It's like one of those things where normally those boring chosen one tropes or last of your kind tropes are they're the last of the kind, so they've got all these amazing special powers or whatever, or they unlock their potential and a beam shoots out.
See something.
And then this was she's the last of a kind. What does that mean? Nothing. Okay. It's she comes out of the world. Yeah. She literally comes out of the world. She's human now. And you're like, so basically all that's happened is all of this to create this new life and all this sort of stuff. She can't do anything different in the digital world. She's just
How would she survive in the real world, though?
But does she eat?
Does she breathe?
Digital.
Yeah,
does she need to be charged?
Yeah.
Or maybe because they become they're human and become digital. Maybe she's digital and then becomes human.
Yeah, and then the machine thing just.
Where do they get the flesh from?
That's
and
what
bones
I was going to say.
From their victims
and the organs.
But that's it. With the whole Clum trying to get into the real world, I was thinking that the actual raw materials needed to create that many people is just, unless they made it like an Ultron style robot body. But I'm but the thing is, even in the first Tron, I thought this. But again, to Ria's point, because Tron doesn't try to explain stuff, I just kind of don't care. I'm like, it's like fantasy.
Yeah, just enjoy it.
Star Wars doesn't try and overly explain stuff in the original trilogy. It's just kind of like, we have hyperspace, we go fast, zoom faster than light speed. What does that mean? Don't worry, let's keep going. Whereas when you get into some of the other sci-fi stuff, I think in more Star Trek territory, but other stuff more so, where it's like, here's the really specific calculations of every single little tiny dot. And I'm like, there's the odd Christopher Nolan film. Oh, Rhea, that's a director. He's quite indie. I don't know if you've heard of.
I've not heard of him.
Chris Nolan. No,
Thank you
yeah, he's quite an indie director.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah, I'm glad. As long as you know that.
What's he directed? I've never. I've never
only
heard of
the Batman trilogy, Inception.
Batman.
Never heard of them.
It's not a man that dresses up as a bat, or is he part bat?
How ludicrous! How ludicrous!
Silly, isn't it? But like when it comes to certain with sci-fi stuff, I don't want overly explanation because they can't. 9 times out of 10, they can't actually explain it. And that's the thing is that when I start to think about, Clum and Co want to escape, you're like, okay, does this machine then have the capability to create flesh that works, essentially cloning? Surely that is infinitely more interesting and way more impressive than the idea of necessarily AI is a machine that can graft human flesh. Well, so if I'm ill or I've got a back injury or something and I become paraplegic or whatever, you've got this machine that's capable of just copying me, putting me in a digital world and then bringing me out again. Can't that literally revolutionize the entirety of the human race?
Could you also have instantaneous transportation from one side of the globe to the other? There's so many practicalities.
Tron, it doesn't have that problem because for me, it was just in and out the same person.
Exactly.
So it's just copy paste. That's very different. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that copy paste.
But I was going to say as well, completely lost where I was.
Will be the last point because we're running out of time.
Right.
So. Sorry, that's my.
Well, it's got to be important then. What were we talking about?
Do you want to come back and you can have a think?
Come back to it.
Final thoughts, Megan, on Tron. We'll let Rhea go and then we'll do our plugs. But final thoughts on Tron and Tron Legacy. Your new favourite film duology, I've heard you say.
No.
Because I hear you say things like duology quite a lot.
I don't think I've ever said that word.
Get close to the microphone. Leaning all the way out there. Leaning bikini.
I don't think I've got anything else to say about this film.
Either of the films.
I've watched it.
But would you recommend either?
The only thing that I have actually left to say about this film is I told my colleague at work that I had watched this film and that we were doing this podcast and that I did not remember anything about it. And his comment was, that's because the film's not memorable.
I mean,
apart from the visuals,
you summed it up beautifully.
So that's what I have to say about this film.
But Rhea, with yourself, summing up the final kind of thoughts and then you can dart off, and we'll finish off with the plugs. But final thoughts, Rhea, on these two films.
Tron, awesome. Watch it. Great. Tron Legacy, you don't need it in your life. It's boring. But go listen to the soundtrack. You don't need to know the film to listen to the soundtrack. So just go listen to it.
Just watch the Lightcycle sequences and.
Oh yeah, I mean that's amazing. Just go listen to some Daft Punk. Have a great time. Have a dance.
Amazing stuff. And Rhea, is there anything you are up to when this comes out and stuff? I know by the time this comes out, it should be out.
So good at this.
By the time this comes out, Banned Books Week will have already come out and all the episodes will have done that. And I think we're all making appearances on that because I did the artwork, so I've seen all the guests and things. So Rhea, that and Femme On and da-da-da?
Yes. Go listen to Banned Books. That would be on both the Femme On podcast and on Comics in Motion. Femme On is back. We had a long break whilst I had a mental health breakdown. Good times. So we are back with some amazing episodes and some episodes that we have coming up. I have an amazing chat with Alison and Jessica about Jessica Patel, I should say her whole name, About to Hold the Night, the short film that Alison wrote and Jessica directed, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a horror film, Dan. So
nice.
It's and I say this in the episode. It's not just because it's Alison. It's genuinely so good that actually, I was a bit worried. I was like, what if it's shit? What if I hate it? And then I watched it, I was like, phew, thank God, because it's amazing. And I talk about it all the time. So anyway, we've got episodes about survival of the thickest. Tanya's got some amazing activism episodes. And if you want to talk romantasy, me and Jess spoke with her wonderful friend Brigitte about Fourth Wing, which is all about dragons and sex. So come and check out Femme On. This is all the stuff that's coming up. Listen to our previous episodes. Once again, this has been my favourite chat. I love seeing your faces.
Lovely.
And congratulations, Mike and Megan. I'm going to go.
Yep. But last thing is just the next episode we'll do. We'll probably have a special guest. It won't necessarily be a Christmas special, but we'll try and do one more pod at least before the end of the year. At least one special guest, and hopefully another special guest next year. And then we'll figure out the roster afterwards. But
Love it.
Lovely seeing you, Rhea, as always. Have fun.
Bye, wonderful people.
Bye.
Dan, have you had
Yes.
time to think of your final thoughts of this?
Yes,
before we do plugs?
I wanted to say, speaking of all these, again, ideas they could have had with this technology, this, this wonderful technology of digitization. Jeff Bridges goes, the ISOs are going to change everything, man. They're going to change everything, man. Religion, technology, politics, man, and all this. And I'm like, but how? But how? You're just saying things now like, oh, they're going to change everything. But there's one, you got one left, and she doesn't do fuck all. And she doesn't
knows
know
nothing.
anything.
She knows
nothing.
absolutely.
And 2, you're trapped.
Yeah, and you're trapped. So, yeah,
well,
good luck
until
with that.
Tron 3 comes out, and then that's one thing I didn't know.
Tron Ares, yes.
Oh, is that what's going to be called?
Yes.
Is it just going to be a one-off, or are they going to do the thing where everyone's doing it at the moment, which is part 1 and part 2? But
Do you want... I know some stuff about it. Do you want to know what I know?
I don't think I want to know spoilers. I think I'd only like to know... no, I'll tell you what. We'll save what you know to the end.
Okay.
Right at the end. Because then if anyone doesn't want to know, it can be like a post-credit scene.
Sure.
So final thoughts on...
Final thoughts.
And whatever the other thing you were going to say was.
Yeah. Final thought, that was that thing. The final thoughts, I think they're both very entertaining films for what they are, like visually and stylistically. I think they're really interesting. I think, again, the story and the characters kind of don't grab me as much as I want them to. Again, I think there's more faults in Tron Legacy than there is Tron. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I think we've all kind of summed up why that one works and why Tron Legacy doesn't really. But I think people can get stuff out of it. I don't think they're shit. We're not talking Condor Man here. We are, or Dragon Slayer, whatever, or Return of Jafar, whatever your litmus test is for quality in these Disney discussions. But yeah, I'd say give them a go. But throughout this conversation, you guys are going, I love this. I want more of this. I want more of that. This is a good idea. Why didn't they do this? All of that shit you and Rhea and Mike, Megan have all said, it's all in Tron Uprising. Get it bloody watched.
Ah, very nice. That's very good. Next year, we'll definitely... There's a little fun other thing we'll do. So maybe we'll do them along side by side. The new little thing we'll do occasionally throughout the year, and throughout the year we'll have a through line of doing.
Yeah, we can do it on mine. We can do it on my show if you want to do that. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'd happily do Uprising purely on your show, and then the other thing we can.
Yeah, we'll work
mainly do on your show. We'll flit about. That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those where that's why I'll find out a little bit about Tron Ares afterwards, because there are so many elements of this where I'm like I really wanted. Like we got halfway through Legacy, and I was like, I think this is quite cool. And then but because it was just after the games and my interest was piqued, and then it just faltered continuously all the way to the end, which I thought was okay. And then there was the end, which is her in the motorcycle, and I was like, this is weak. And it's just frustrating because, as we've all said, visuals are amazing. The soundtrack's awesome. There's some cool elements in it. I like the Disney logo in the Tron style. That was really cool.
Yeah,
so stylistically, it looks amazing. There's innovative ideas. There's cool stuff. But as you say, Dan, it's just the writing lets it down, and it's just got no real substance to it. And it's like, either try and make something like, do John Wick Tron. I'd love that. Just have someone badass going around in the games doing crazy stuff and wiping out people. The death animations were so cool, and all of the visual effects and the costume design was phenomenal in Legacy. Some of my favourite.
Yeah,
but
some really good stuff.
It's just it doesn't land enough.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Mike. It is style over substance, but 100%. The style is so stylish.
Yes, and that's what I want.
You somewhat forgive the substance, especially in that first film, and especially in Tron Legacy. You love the visuals, you love the all that kind of stuff.
I think if it was 20 minutes shorter, or even half an hour shorter, I think it would be. It would generally be a good film, I think, if you cut some of that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there are editors for reasons, guys. There are deleted scenes for reasons. You're allowed to cut stuff. It's fine. It's okay. I don't mind a long film as long as it's good. You know what I mean? I watched Gladiator recently. I was fine with that because it was fucking good.
Wolf of Wall Street.
There you go. Like you can have a long film, but there needs to be a reason for those scenes to be in there if it's going to be long.
And I'm a big fan of like having a nicely cut film, and then on the DVD you do they do director's cuts, and you watch. I don't know why they don't do it more. Just have. I don't know why all the Star Wars films with the new ones, especially because the deleted scenes are classified as canon. It's just like, why can't I just do play movie or play movie with deleted scenes, and then it comes up and goes, just so you know, when the deleted scenes pop up, they're not going to look as nice, or there's going to be, and you go, okay, that's fine. I've seen this this film a billion times. I want to watch it with the extra scenes put in the order it's meant to be, just to see what it's like. That's the kind of thing I think this film would benefit.
They've done that with they did that with like the original RoboCop DVD that I got. It was like the director's cut. There's a lot more blood and gore. And
Aliens.
You could tell the quality kind of drops a little bit.
Yeah.
And the same with like My Bloody Valentine I bought earlier in the year. Like that has the same thing. It's like this. You can tell when it shifts. But yeah, like I agree with you. I think if you give people the option, like have this cut, have that cut, and allow people to bloody choose, and they can, have their pick, as opposed to just like, this.
Yeah, Megan's enthralled by the conversation of extended cuts. She loves rewatching films like extended versions. But we'll put her out of her misery.
Sorry, it's just been a really
long day.
It's been a long week, to be fair, for Megan.
It's just
a long month.
Yeah, and we've got our wedding parties coming as well, which is as well as Megan's all her work stuff. So
it's mad at the moment.
It's crazy, which is why there's so many podcasts I've got already recorded for this month. But Dan, what are you up to? Thank you for all of your comments and things and your research of Tron and Tron Legacy. And I look forward to watching Uprising with you. And I will be listening to the comics as well. I'm looking forward to that. But tell people what you've got going on. I imagine this will come out in the next few weeks. So let's see. So I've got my Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 comparison. Megan's famous for?
I have linked Megan's wonderful rants on
I don't even remember
3.
half of the stuff that I said in that rant.
It's iconic.
But Megan,
Iron Man
Spider-Man 3.
The funny thing is that I've watched it like 2 or 3 times now, and I still couldn't really tell you what happened to it. I don't remember that film.
I honestly
just remember hating it.
You know what? I posted about it today when we did Book of Life. We struggled to like do the plot, and then when I came to do it's a long podcast, this Spider-Man comparison, but when we came to do Spider-Man 3, I'm sure we spent a good 15 minutes just trying to work out the plot, and then I had to do the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I try to again condense as best I can, but there's so much shit going on in both of those films. But yeah, I think that's a really cool podcast with me and Dan. We've been going and seeing all the different Spider-Man films, all the trilogies, or sequels with the Amazing Spider-Man over the last few weeks. We're going to see the last one on Saturday, which is Not Far From Home.
No Way Home.
So that'll be our end of that. So it's been a nice little journey for us to go through, and the patrons picked that. So yeah, we've got that. And then I've got Shockphobia Fest coming up. So we've got a lot of Halloween, spooky season.
Spooky season.
We're excited about that. We might start our spooky season on Patreon
I love
a bit early.
spooky season.
Yeah, absolutely. I've already recorded some Halloween comics for Patreon. I've got Ria's coming on. We're going to be talking about films that are based around cults. I'm releasing an old Patreon episode on a Halloween comic. I'm doing a Livid, which is like a French fairy tale vampire ballerina film. And then I'm also doing The Batman with Andy and Tonya. So it's going to be a really, really good season of spookiness.
I'm very excited about all that stuff. I love your output. And again, it's warped down on Patreon. All your Patreon content is great. It's really good. And you get to vote on stuff. You get to actually have an input on what the kind of things are. And a lot of the patron picks, there's a lot of variety, like 4 options.
Oh, yeah.
So it is really, and if there's tiebreakers and stuff, people can talk about it and make their case. It's great. So, I would say with being
such as good a Patreon as mine is Mike and Megan's, because you hear all the good stuff nice and early, extra content. I was just listening to your If review and your Doctor Who review as well.
Yes.
I will say though, one note: if you're going to do the Doctor Who theme, you have to do the you can't just do the. Yeah, that's That's great. I love
Megan's
that.
great at that vocals.
That bit is amazing. But you've got to do that. Like if you have to do it, Mike. If you have to do the we need that.
We're 3 episodes or two episodes away from recording season 3 part 1. So. When we do that, I'll make sure I'm doing the gang because anyone who listens on Patreon, literally the start of every we do it in half seasons, so it's 2 episodes.
The first one I listened to blew my ears off. I was sorry. Turn that down.
Funnily enough, I actually to see it in the edit in Audacity, I genuinely reduced it down so many times. It was so loud at points. It was like
I get overly excited.
Yeah,
it was. Don't get me wrong.
From the microphone, but when she sings, it's really close.
I was amazed by it. I loved it, but it did also blow my socks off.
She does it slightly differently on every podcast as well. So,
Yeah,
so
of
on
course.
each of the Doctor Who ones. So that's fun. But thank you, Dan. Yeah. Patreon supporters get me and Megan talk about movies for like 10, 50 minutes ago. And we release one of those a week. And then also you get early access to monthly M&M and a few other things.
Yeah.
We won't have monthly M&M in the month of September. We'll probably continue it in October and November, but it's just on Genuine Chit-Chat. By the time this comes out, all of the episodes about our America trip will be up. So there's
I'm
4 or
enjoying
5.
those as well. I'm enjoying your your plane missing a part was quite entertaining.
Yeah, it
yes.
was missing the flap.
Yeah,
The phalange.
Yeah,
missing
the
the
phalange
phalange.
flap. Yes.
But I guess that's spoilers for your podcast, but there you go.
Well, people would have
Our
seen on
plane was
social
missing
media.
a flap.
Yeah. So we talk about plane issues, the delay getting out there.
Got a bit of clum on there. Got a bit of clum on there.
Clum in the
There was
flap.
way too much clum on that plane.
Yes, yeah. So that's mainly what's been released. There'll be a Clone Wars conversation put in the middle of that.
Oh, yes.
And probably one at
Loving
the end.
that. Loving
as well.
that. Keep that up. I love that.
Well, yeah, and now we're honing in on specific episodes in a lot more depth. So there's a lot more. We're recording like 2 a month, and I've got like 4 backed up. So I'm like trying to release.
Have you done the guy with the little toad and all the droids yet? Have you done that episode? Is that
Yes.
is that
We
the
just
George
recorded
Lucas
that.
one?
That's
oh,
George
nice.
Lucas' favourite one. We did that's a long one. Yeah, we
Yeah, I
spoke
can
about
imagine.
that a lot. It's an interesting one.
I'll be honest, I think I remember hating that for ages, and then right at the end I was like, no, I actually quite like it. I think
It's an interesting one. It's got cool parts.
Which episode?
With the little frogman.
little toad, like he's like a dictator
the
general.
sergeant guy,
yeah.
I can't remember his species.
Corporal.
Yeah, he's Gascoigne is his name. Colonel Gascoigne.
like the football player,
Gascoigne.
like Gascoigne.
It's not actually Gascoigne, it's Gascon, but they
Gaston?
not Gaston. No, there's not.
How many eggs
6
does
dozen
he eat?
eggs. He's
was
about the size of
raising-
he's at the size of 4 eggs. So, but yeah, Clone Wars conversations.
So much
Lots
protein.
of mine and Megan's America trip. We'll continue with monthly M&M in a bit. It's just because you guys are getting like a whole month of me and Megan talking. So have a little break while we readjust to life.
Absolutely.
And yeah, a few get spots here and there will be coming up in the future, but in the description.
Yeah.
all those.
Another thing. Banned books. I'll be on banned books. You're on banned books. We're all on
Yes.
banned books.
Yeah,
absolutely
Megan's not on Bad
listen.
Books this time, but she was on.
I was on Bambooks last year.
Yes, so
You're busy getting married, Megan. You don't need to be everywhere. You're already doing such great content all over the place. You can't be everywhere all at once.
yeah,
Give
there's so much
yourself
Patreon content.
Give yourself a break, Megan. It's all right. Don't worry. I've filled your void.
Could you tell my work that I could have a break?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll say
Give her
right.
a break.
Listen here, Clum. Right. All you students, you're clums as well. You're all clums.
All of you,
Some of them are very.
just a clump of clums.
Some of them are massive clumps.
Oh yes, absolutely. But your next lesson should just be, guys, Iron Man 1.
First thing you need to know.
Very good.
Clump.
Very good.
I actually did mention Iron Man in my lesson the other day because a common name is the name Feliz in Spain, which means happy. And then people were like, no one's called Happy. I was like, actually,
Happy Hogan. Yeah, you're right.
Iron Man.
Played by John Favreau.
Iron Man 1.
So with a lot of this funny, silly banter, that's what our afterthoughts, Patreon stuff pretty much is. It's just us waffling. We talk about films a bit, but it's a lot of silliness. And monthly,
A lot of Megan singing, which is great.
It is. Megan sings a lot. Like Megan in some of these Disney discussions, other things. Megan seems more introverted, but in afterthoughts, she takes the lead a lot of the time.
Yeah,
to clarify.
she does.
So really, if you want to hear more from Megan, £1 a month, you get access to
Just
everything.
listen to that Spider-Man 3 podcast.
That was one of our first ones.
And if you are not on board with Afterthoughts, if you are not on board with the Patreon by the end of that podcast, I don't want to know you.
£1 a month, friends. It's very little, and you get access to all 200. Well, there's more than 200 now, but immediate access instantly to it all.
I give Mike an extra £2 because I love it that much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. But yeah, find me on social media at Genuine Chit-Chat. Meg's at Grits Gets Fit. Even though she will no longer be.
Bert gets hurt. Bert gets fat.
Bert gets hurt sounds like an
I think
Bert gets buff.
Bert gets buff.
Bert gets buff.
That was Spider Dan's creation there.
I think I don't want to take credit. I think that should all go. I mean, I didn't come up with Grits Gets Fit. I'm just riffing on that same idea. I'm a rip-off artist, really.
Well, speaking of that, what's your social media? We do that plug, and then just very in brief, like a minute or so, Tron Aries, and then we'll wrap up.
Sure. Spider Down and the Secret Bores.com. I've left X because it's a cesspit of racist, horrible people. Not all of them. There's some lovely people on there
I'm
as well.
I'm still on there for now, but it is getting much worse.
No, he's one of the racists. Get him now.
I'm on Threads. I'm on the nice bit. Threads. That's where all the nice people have
and that's where I've gone. Where I've gone. So it's Spider Dan Secret Bores on Instagram and Threads if you want to find me there. But the website's got all the links you need and links to my guest spots on Mike's podcast and various other different podcasts I've done recently as well. And yeah, just come and check me out. Lots of cult films and silly shit and lots of fun. Get serious, but we always go back and have some fun, some banter. And I've got a lot of guest spots coming out at the moment. Matt B. Lloyd and some other stuff coming up. But yes,
and back to the filmography as well. We'll both eventually be on that as well. So.
Yes, again, yes, very soon when it comes back in full force, very soon. But yeah, that is me. SpiderDownOnTheSecretBalls.com. It's all there.
So Megan, do the spoiler like little bit of spoiler thing from
spoiler.
So Megan does our afterthoughts when we get spoilers. So Dan, just in brief,
and I'll do mine. Tonya Todd spoiler warning. That's mine. So yes, Tron Ares. So there's been a D23 showed some clips and a bit of a trailer for Tron Ares.
So I do want to see it. I am interested.
Yeah. So the main concept of Tron Ares is it's not humans going into the real world, it's programs coming into the real world from the digital world. So they've flipped the script.
Right.
And the lead
sound bad because the cool bit is being in the digital world.
But there's like the clip they show is someone flying around on like one of the gliders. So it's like they're bringing their tech with them. They're like, the batons and stuff. So yeah, that's happening. And I think maybe Jeff Bridges is returning in some form.
I imagine he would be.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about anybody else. I know the actor who played Laura Baines died last year, so unfortunately she won't be returning, sadly. Yeah. I'm not sure about Bruce Boxleitner yet, because fans campaigned for him to be in Legacy because he wasn't going to be in it. So they got him in it. But yeah,
I was going to say, sorry, but none of us mentioned in Tron Legacy about, I don't want to get back into it, but the fact that Tron is a baddie. None of us. It was so inconsequential and so crap and so pointless and such a waste of time and energy. Yeah. I just remember that. Sorry.
I guess you kind of have to have Tron in it, so I guess they had to do it. He should
have just been in it. He should
have just been in it. But maybe they couldn't afford 2 digital de-aging stuff. Maybe they couldn't afford that. Or
I would have just said it like he was in a horror accident and he just has to wear a helmet.
He wears a helmet, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, we see all the other guys with scars, don't we? The main issue I'm having with Tron Ares is the lead actor.
Uh-oh.
It's Jared Leto.
Oh, for fuck's sake. 30 seconds to Mars Singer. So the Joker.
The Joker in the Suicide Squad.
The shit one, yeah.
The shit, there you go. There you go. Megan cuts through all the bullshit and just goes, yeah, the shit one.
Yeah, the actor who had promise, and then it's just, apart from Requiem for a Dream, everything he's in is pretty... He's not very good in most things.
He's good in Dallas Buyers Club. I think he won his Oscar for that.
To be fair.
Yeah, he is good in that.
He can act. He's just in good films, and also doesn't help himself by being a knob.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a method actor, which I fucking
knob.
Can't.
It's just being an asshole to people on set and just.
Yeah, he sent people that used condoms during Suicide Squad, man.
Rats or whatever. So
and shit like that. I'm like. It's fucking disgusting. And you get away with it because you go, oh, well, it was the character. I was being the character.
It's just being an asshole.
No, being a cunt.
Being a plum.
You're being a complete plum. That's it.
Clumped.
Exactly. But yes, that is going to be Tron Ares. That's all I kind of know at the moment.
Next year it's out or the year after?
I believe next year, yeah. So they've dropped
Legacy season.
I think Evan Peters is in it. I think the guy who was
the guy from American Horror Story.
Yes, and also he's Quicksilver in the X-Men films.
Yes, yeah, all of that.
Okay, he's actually a really good actor.
Are you impressed that I knew who that name?
I mean, you smashed that.
Megan, you shocked me there. You shocked me.
You hear an afterthought sometimes where I'll go, oh, it's this actor. And you go, I know who that actor is. And then I'll say this actor again. I have no idea who you're talking about.
You know what they should do? They should have taken, you know what Cora is? You know what I think Cora is? I think Cora is a pirated film. And they brought her into the real world and she's going to transform into Iron Man 1.
I thought you were going to say into like a handbag or a car like there's adverts. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a handbag. You can't steal films. The piracy. Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought you were going to say her coming into the world was the gate that allows all the Ares people to come in. Do you know if Olivia Wilde? I mean, I know she's apparently a horrible person.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of controversy about her last film and stuff that happened on set
and things like that.
That's the one that had Harry Styles and Florence Pugh in it.
Yeah.
Correct. And then he spat on, like, during the premiere, he spat on Chris Pine, Harry Styles,
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
Seemingly spat
I
on
don't
him.
think that actually was that.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
something else that I saw about that it kind of
Yeah.
explained it, but I don't know if it was just one of those things. But yeah,
Yeah, but she was definitely favourable.
Yeah, I don't know the situation. I'd like to comment, but I don't. But maybe that's a good backstage past for my podcast. Maybe I could look into that for old film. Not old; it came out last year. Yes, that's me. I'm done. I've stopped
Awesome.
talking.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for all the conversation, including telling us about Ares and all the research you did and all that stuff about the other content as well.
I didn't think it would come in useful, all the stuff I've learned, but it did.
But it has. And then it's also spawned another little thing that we've teased that we'll do next year about Tron Uprising, because that's on Disney Plus as well. All the Tron stuff is on there.
It is. Watch them all.
Exactly. So yeah, next episode I said before Rhea left, but we're going to have a special guest. There's one who we're certain will come this year. The other one, it'll probably be next year. We'll have to see. But yeah, we'll give you more details about that when we release the episode, basically. It'll be a nice little surprise before Christmas. And then I think we'll just figure out next year after that. So friends, oh my God, my voice right at the end. Friends, thank you so much for listening. As always, we appreciate you coming on the journey for another year of Disney discussions. We've got lots of cool stuff planned. Oh God, for next year. And so we'll speak to you all very soon.
bye.
Another very afterthoughty goodbye.
Afterthoughts.